Welcome to the Neophyte in the Woods podcast with Andrew McDowell.
Welcome to the Neophyte in the Woods podcast, a podcast of outdoor exploration, gear reviews, and interviews with interesting people. I'm your host, Andrew McDowell. For those of you who don't know, a neophyte is a person who's new to a subject, skill, or belief, which is definitely me when it comes to kind of some of this hunting and outdoor stuff. The mission of the Neophyte in the Woods podcast and blog is to provide a unique view of our natural environment through the lens of new experience and the tools and skills that make those experiences possible. Through experiential learning, hunting reports, gear reviews, and interviews with the more experienced and the less experienced hunters, fishermen, wild edible experts, and outdoors people.
Neophyte in the Woods will promote inclusiveness and positivity and reveal in shared experiences, but it will not, under any circumstances, shy away from calling out and attacking bigotry, hypocrisy, or duplicity from friends, allies, or enemies. The double standard will not be accepted.
Instead of just being my perspective, I want to bring others in who have connections to the environment and discuss their experiences. These won't be canned interviews. I'll ask a few guiding questions and let the conversation flow as naturally as possible. I want to frame each episode around a theme. For example, how to turn your love of the outdoors into a successful business, and what lessons you've learned from hunting, fishing, and camping, and how those informed your quote-unquote out of the woods life and businesses. Another example would be how the outdoors has helped you connect more meaningfully with friends, family, or yourself.
This show will also regularly conduct discussions on topics of passion. You'll hear Andrew and his guests talk about conservation, shooting sports, guns, bows, and a whole lot more. And really quick, this is Eddie Lazary here with the Change Your POV Podcast Network, and I've come on here to help Andrew introduce this exciting show, Neophyte in the Woods. I'm very, very excited to have this new edition. We've been talking about having Neophyte in the Woods come on to the Change Your POV Podcast Network for some time now, but I wanted to share with you a quick story of one of my neophyte hunting stories. It was the only time that I can remember where my father and my brother, we went hunting. We lived in Nevada at the time, and I don't know for those that are familiar with Nevada, but they have white-tailed deer, but they're really, really small. They're like overgrown rabbits almost. And they're not like the deer that they have here in the Northeast. But anyway, and so it was the first time I've ever gone hunting, and we've got our rifles. And I don't know, it was probably like 3 weeks before we go hunting. And I must have been, I don't know, I'm maybe a freshman in high school, maybe eighth grade, somewhere in there. And my brother's 3 years younger than me. And my dad looks at both of us and he says, okay, before we go on this hunting trip, you've got to grow your mustaches out as much as you can. Now, there was no hope for my brother. There was no way he was growing anything that resembled anything like a mustache. And I wasn't that far ahead of him in that regard. And so I'm growing out my peach fuzz, as it were, as long as I could, 3 weeks before we go out. And we get up really, really early that morning. And, of course, we throw on all of our hunting gear, and we're all excited, and we load up the truck, and we're getting ready to leave. And we're heading out to in the middle of nowhere, basically, which Nevada pretty much is a huge state of in the middle of nowhere. And he turns to me. I'm sitting in the middle. We've got this pickup truck that we're in, and it's just one of those old Ford pickup trucks that's got the one bench seat. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's driving. I'm in the middle, and my younger brother, he's sitting to the right of me. And my dad turns to me and he hands me this little bottle of something. I said, "What's this?" And he goes, "What you got to do is you got to pour some of that into your hands, and you need to rub that all into that mustache you've been growing for the last 3 weeks." And I'm like, "Oh, well, how come?" And he goes, "Well, because deer are smart and they can smell. And if you don't rub this all over your mouth and all over your mustache, then when you breathe, the deer can smell your breath. So if it, in order to mask the smell of your breath, you put this around your mouth and it masks the smell of your breath." And I have no idea. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this makes sense to me, right?" So I squirt this, whatever the hell it is, into the palm of my hand, and I'm just rubbing, just smearing this all into my mustache, all over my mouth. And then I hand it over to my brother, and he does the same thing. Oh my God, this smelled awful, right? As soon as my brother gets done, we pass it back to my dad, and we're just looking at him like, there we go, we did good, right? And he loses it. He just starts laughing his ass off, right? And I'm like, "What the heck? What's so funny?" And he goes, "That's deer piss." It was deer urine, and we ended up smothering all over our mouths. Yeah, so we're doing a whole lot of spitting out the window for the
I can
following
believe it.
ride, and it was horrible. So yeah, he got a good laugh at it. I didn't enjoy it too well. We did shoot a deer though, a very small buck, and it was my first deer. And to be honest with you, I never went hunting again after that. It was my one and done. I then joined the army and hunted a different kind of animal. And then got out of the military and moved here to New Hampshire, and I haven't been hunting since I've been here to New Hampshire. So very limited experience with this stuff. So when you first introduced me to this whole idea of neophyte in the woods, first I had to understand what the word neophyte meant. And once you explain it to me, it fits perfectly. So I'm very excited, Andrew, for the show. Thanks for coming up with the idea.
Absolutely.
I'm very, very excited to hear all these wonderful episodes. We got some stuff in the works that we've been talking about. I'm very excited to go through those experiences with you and then share with the audience our experience.
It's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to get you out in the woods as soon as humanly possible. We're going to make this happen.
That's
I
awesome.
promise I won't make you rub deer piss in your beard.
Damn it, I was gonna do it anyway.
All right, well, you can volunteer for that.
It would be
if you
like
really want.
squirrel. I'm gonna rub squirrel piss around my mouth. How's
Okay.
that?
I think that you're going to have a hell of a time capturing that, but I look forward to watching you under the tree with the bowl.
Nice.
But that's enough jackassery for one episode. We'll have much more of that to come. So thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Neophyte in the Woods podcast. We're a proud member of the Change Your POV podcast network. If you want to interact with me, you can connect with me on Twitter at Neophyte in the Woods, or actually it's at Neophyte ITW, or on Facebook if you just search for Neophyte in the Woods. If you'd like to be a guest, we're always looking for interesting people to come on. Please reach out to me on one of those channels or email me at neophyteinthewoods@gmail.com. If you could also take a moment to subscribe to the Change Your POV podcast network stream on your favorite podcast service or give us a review on iTunes, that would be awesome. I'd be very much appreciated. There's some other really great shows with really great content on this network, including some that I've already guested on. Also, we have a Patreon page, and I'll put the link to how to access that in the description of this episode. Thank you guys very much, and I look forward to doing more of these.